Good afternoon, everyone. I'm delighted to welcome you to the London Livable City Conference. I'll be presenting a research study titled as Exploring Local Stakeholders' Perceptions on Climate Resilience in Vulnerable Fast-Growing Cities of Bangladesh. My name is Maruf Hossain, and I am a doctoral researcher affiliated with the Department of Urban Planning and Territorial Planning at the Higher Technical School of Architecture of Madrid, also known as Hossain, which is a part of the Polytechnic University of Madrid. Along with my supervisor, Professor Jose Miguel Fernández-Güell, we are researching on creating climate resilient urban governance for Bangladesh, and this is one of the crucial topics we are working on. The study investigates local stakeholders' perceptions on rapidly urbanizing and climate vulnerable cities of Bangladesh. It stresses integrating these perspectives into climate resilience strategies for effective and inclusive urban planning. The presentation explores socioeconomic and environmental challenges faced by these cities, aiming to form climate resilient development practices that enhances resilience in Bangladesh. Bangladesh, which stands at the head of the Bay of Bengal, is prone to rise of temperature, cyclones, flooding, droughts, and increasing sea levels. As described by Glennon, the largest wave of climate change-induced displacement in human history has been occurring in Bangladesh, with 50,000 to 200,000 people migrates annually because of riverbank erosion alone. Several researchers state that climate change in Bangladesh has generated instabilities in economy, housing sector, public health, agriculture, and gender equality, along with increased urbanization, landlessness, and decreasing agricultural production, resulting in food insecurity and livelihood difficulties. Not only people are suffering, but the environment, along with other species, have been also suffered due to sea level rise, salinity intrusion, especially in coastal regions of Bangladesh. Although the importance of stakeholder participation is recognized in existing researches, there is a dearth of extensive research that effectively link the realm of research, policy making, and implementation. Furthermore, lack of studies that concentrates on significance of stakeholders' engagement for efficient climate change planning and execution is in affected urban regions of Bangladesh. Additionally, other studies focused either on a single city or conducted general research, but this study investigated 5 vulnerable cities affected differently by climate hazards. This study endeavors to bridge the gap between research, policy making, and implementation, assess the importance of stakeholder involvement in effective climate change planning and implementation in vulnerable regions of Bangladesh, and investigate an inclusive research approach to leverage the insights of local stakeholders from 5 selected vulnerable cities. Informal settlements within these cities inhabited by vulnerable people were investigated. The climate affected people residing in informal settlements across Bangladesh have been directly or indirectly affected by the repercussions of climate change in their areas. In the southern coastal region, such as Borishal cities, Bangabandhu colony, Tirish godowns, and Polashpur, affected peoples deal with the difficulties posed by the river erosions and cyclones. Similarly, in Khulna, inhabitants of Ninala, Nutun Bazar, and Joragate informal settlements tackled with issues like salinity intrusion and cyclones. In the drought-prone northern region, settlements such as Poddapara, Chowkapara, Railway Colony, and Bhadra Lake in Rajshahi, along with Uttar Nurpur and railway informal settlements in Rangpur, were investigated for identifying the vulnerabilities. Here, the residents combat the direct and indirect impacts of climate change, like drought, water scarcity, and cyclones. While in Sylhet, affected people living in Kajorkhola slum, Matir Colony, Purbopad, and Matir Colony, Poschimpad, confront challenges associated with heavy rainfall and flash floods. In spite of the diverse geographical locations, the common thread among these climate migrants is the shared struggle against the impacts of climate change, ranging from cyclone, river erosion, salinity intrusion to droughts and floods. In this research, a systemic four-stage multifaceted approach was utilized to investigate the intricate climate change consequences and explore local mitigation techniques. Firstly, a rigorous literature review was carried out to know the interpretation of global communities regarding the effects of climate change across the diverse fields. Following this, the focus group discussions were conducted to delve into the local stakeholders' insights concerning local climate change risks and possible mitigation measures of vulnerable regions. An in-depth analysis was undertaken to consider suggestions from government and non-government officials, experts from multiple fields. Stakeholders' perceptions were thoroughly analyzed through methodological triangulation that assisted to identify the primary climate change effects of selected case study areas. The goal of this collective endeavors was to offer a cohesive and robust framework for facing the future climate change extremities. Projections suggest that future climate change consequences will be more extreme and rapid challenges, further undermining the resilience of both ecological system and city structure. Considering the urgency of this issue, the IPCC suggests that implementation of efficient climate change measures in Bangladesh is very important, and the implication of for low-lying islands, coastal areas and communities. Special report on ocean and cryosphere in changing climate has mentioned this. Several development measures in Bangladesh have been ineffective and could not achieve desired aims. It is pivotal to comprehend that any development or adaptation intervention's success rely on its sustainability, resilience, and capacity to provide major benefits to the endangered people. Ignorance of these principles might result in inappropriate guidelines. For instance, shrimp cultivation in coastal areas of Khulna might worsen coastal soil erosion and salinity intrusion, or the development of Haur roads in Kishoreganj, Itna Mithamoin, and Ostogram obstruct natural flow of water from flash floods. The failure of these interventions were because of absence of local people's insights and not taking into account the local context. Fast-growing cities in Bangladesh play a vital role, bridging major urban centers and rural areas. Despite their growing population, they often lack attention compared to rural regions and major cities. hindering their development. Rapid urbanization has led to slum proliferation, demanding targeted health interventions. Understanding urban migration dynamics is crucial for effective planning. Each city's unique characteristics necessitate tailored approaches, while engaging local communities is vital for context-specific solutions. Decentralization efforts are essential for achieving balanced and sustainable urban developments nationwide. Bangladesh faces escalating climate risks such as cyclones, floods, and sea level rise, necessitating urgent resilience measures. Resilience involves maintaining core functions amid shocks. Urban climate resilience in vulnerable Bangladeshi cities emphasizes preserving essential service, adapting to climate changes, and enhancing adaptive capacities. Numerous research have been conducted on various facets of ongoing field of stakeholder engagement in climate change policy and strategy has garnered attention globally. Van Willenreger or J.P. Ring discusses the significance of participatory decision-making process in strengthening the credibility of climate adaptation governance. Governance of Bangladesh runs on top-down approach, but Coons and Newing supports bottom-up approach for incorporating stakeholders' perceptions along with traditional top-down methods to signify inclusive governance process. Akhtar and Mullik prioritize the linkage of destitution, vulnerability, and resilience, signifying the need of stakeholders' engagement to uplift resilience of vulnerable groups. Several intermediate cities within Bangladesh have been recognized as case study regions for comprehending the characteristics of intermediate cities based on geographical positioning, demographics, and vulnerability to climate change as shown in Table 1. The study conducted focus group discussions with 180 participants from various regions of Bangladesh to explore perceptions on climate change challenges and adaptation. Interviews using snowball sampling further investigated awareness of available service among climate affected individuals. Additionally, in-depth analysis sessions involved interviews with 35 stakeholders including urban practitioners, social workers, government officials, and activists to gather insights into climate adaptation and mitigation efforts by both governmental and non-governmental organizations. Here are some pictures taken during focus group discussion in the case study regions among the affected people. They are describing their sufferings, their problems, and they are suggesting some measures to prevent or to adapt with the climate change impact. In Sylhet, Borishal, Rajshahi, Rangpur, and Khulna, climate-related issues such as unemployment, water insecurity, infrastructure disruptions, and agricultural loss pose significant challenges to economy, health, and livelihoods. These problems, ranging from floods to droughts, affect communities' well-being and socioeconomic stability. Focus group discussions reveal the need to address these challenges through macro and micro level investigations, emphasizing the importance of sustainable policies and adaptation strategies. Tackling these issues is vital for ensuring community safety, promoting socioeconomic stability, and mitigating the adverse impacts of climate change. Flooding, waterlogging, and cyclones constitute 80% of all impactful factors, significantly affecting communities. Socioeconomic issues like 40% unemployment rate and water supply disruptions worsen the impact of climate-induced hazards on economy, health, and social cohesion. Drought contributing 9% increases water scarcity, straining community health and economy. Additionally, 5% migration due to these challenges further strains both origin and destination areas. Disruption in transportation and infrastructure covering 4% underscores the need for improved accessibility solutions. Addressing these climate-related challenges is essential for community safety, socioeconomic stability, and implementing sustainable solutions to mitigate climate change impacts effectively. In-depth interviews identified climate-induced problems and proposed some solutions. In Sylhet, issues include infrastructure destruction, flooding, public health deterioration, and unemployment, with solutions including education, housing provision, and vegetation increase. Burishal faces natural extremities and salinity encroachment, proposing resilient housing and public awareness. Rajshahi deals with droughts and flooding, suggesting drought-tolerant plants and water management. Rangpur addresses riverbank erosion and low agricultural productivity with modern farming and technology. Khulna tackles cyclones and salinity, proposing salt-tolerant plants and rainwater utilization. Effective solutions require cooperation among stakeholders, policymakers, and local communities for sustainable resilience. Floods and waterlogging constituting 40% of issues cause significant property and ecosystem damage. Housing shortage comprising 10% exacerbates social and economic inequalities, increasing vulnerability to hazards. Lower agricultural yields 13% threatens food security, worsened by salinity and riverbank erosion. National hazards like cyclones demand proper disaster management. Mass migration 17% underscores the need to address root causes. Collaboration among organizations and stakeholders is vital. Disaster management planning is crucial to reduce losses. Sustainable agriculture, including drought-resistant crops and efficient water management, can mitigate agricultural losses. This research reveals insufficient bottom-up approaches in decision-making process, analyzing community perceptions on resilience attempts, and mitigating climate change challenges in selected 5 vulnerable cities of Bangladesh. The information obtained during focus group discussions and in-depth interviews signifies the primary climate change related consequences regularly tackled by local people in their own way. Field surveys revealed inadequate support from local and central governments, leading to poor governance issues and reduced trust. Inadequate and damaged housing, floods, unemployment, and waterlogging are hugely impact social stability and infrastructures. Other natural disasters, mass migration, and lower agricultural yields worsen situations and threaten livelihoods, food security, assets, and health conditions. Effective disaster management process, sustainable agriculture practices, and partnership among public, corporate NGOs, and government authorities may all help in overcoming these hurdles. Not all vulnerable areas in Bangladesh were investigated, so more research is needed to refine adaptation initiatives, and ensure effective climate resilience interventions. Hence, the guaranteeing Bangladesh's citizens a more resilient and safer future is essential to plan preventive strategies and implement them, build cooperative linkages, and include a climate resilient urban governance framework with the insights of local people and experts for creating a climate resilient Bangladesh in future. The research underscores the pivotal role of stakeholders in addressing climate change challenges, emphasizing their involvement in raising awareness and advising on disaster management. In-depth evaluation of stakeholders' opinions conducted in intermediate cities of Bangladesh will serve as a benchmark for future studies. Community engagement provides insights into unique regional systems of each area, facilitating the selection of viable climate resilience solutions. Effective policies and measures for climate change adaptation and mitigation require understanding stakeholder perceptions and bridging communication gaps. Consultation with diverse stakeholders together with experts disclose different requirements for future generations in consort with the existing cultural and traditional practices and regional contexts. This approach helps enhance capacity building for facing consequences of climate change, policy making, procedures, and monitoring and evaluation actions. Partnership among public, commercial sectors, and local communities is essential for executing strategies that foster climate resilience. Educating the affected community through awareness programs is vital for efficient disaster management. The stakeholder engagement procedure may also be utilized by other developing countries to enhance their disaster resilience capacity for facing climate change effects according to local people's need and context. Recommendation The study recommends that the study emphasizes on stakeholders' involvement in decision making for climate resilience efforts, engaging local communities, government, business, NGOs, and experts, which strengthen the communication and collaboration among stakeholders to enhance effectiveness. Future research scope would be to refine stakeholder engagement process in climate resilience initiatives, investigate different consultation methods, address barriers to participation, and assess long-term impacts of stakeholder-informed measures. Comparative studies across regions and countries can provide insights into stakeholder engagement effectiveness in various contexts. And this is all from my research, and thank you all.